Morning, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, One Opinion from Europe. How are Europeans being impacted by Donald Trump's war of choice in Iran? Today, I will be taking a look at two specific issues. Firstly, how are price increases affecting Europeans? And secondly, what is the assistance that Kiev is giving to USA in this war? So let's get started. Let's take a look at what is happening to prices here in Europe. As an example, one of the main commodities which is shooting up in price is petrol, or as you would say in America, gas. Now, I just happened to fill up my tank on Friday, 27th of February, and I paid about €1.67 for a litre of diesel. Yesterday I had to fill up again and I had to pay €2.12 for a litre of diesel. So that is an increase of 27%, which in fact is a huge cost to any European here in Germany or whatever country you happen to be in. I think most countries are suffering the burden of this increase. And we have basically nothing to do with this war, and we don't want to have anything to do with this war. And as we all know, if the price of gas goes up, also the price of transportation goes up, and ultimately we will be expecting an increase in the general commodity price as we saw in COVID. So we are not happy about this. Also, as somebody who likes to travel a lot, flight costs will be going up significantly. I have not looked at flight prices yet, but I will get back to you when I have that. There is one advantage that we have here in Europe as compared to America, is that we are still very much focused on clean energy, and I feel that we are much further along the green curve. For example, most households today have solar panels. I have a few solar panels and I estimate that it saves me about 30% of my electricity costs. Also, as far as EVs are concerned, battery EVs make up about 20% of the total number of cars here in Germany. And I believe that in America, looking at the statistics, it's even under 2%. We have tax credits, which we receive if you buy an EV, and I was very happy to see how the Biden administration was very much focused on clean energy and provided also tax credits to get the EV industry up and running. Of course, Donald Trump has stopped all of that now, and so without the tax credits, it seems to have taken a slump in your EV market, which of course puts more pressure on the Americans when the gas prices rise. I personally, as I mentioned, I drive a diesel car, so I'm not that positively impacted, but my son, he drives an EV, and he says, well, for the moment, I'm okay. Now, let's see how the prices develop, especially also electricity prices. My hope is that Donald Trump will at some stage taco out, and we will come back to a normal level of prices. But still, we just have to take it. We did not vote for Donald Trump. We had no option of voting for Donald Trump. And so we are just thrown into this global economic crisis and have to take it as best we can. Now let's take a look at the impact on Ukraine. In a striking role reversal, US and several Gulf states requested help from President Zelensky to counter the waves of the Iranian Shahed drones currently targeting US assets and regional allies. So what did Ukraine do? It is sending specialized military personnel to the Middle East. These experts have 4 years of battle-tested experience in downing the Shahed drones using low-cost, innovative methods. And why do they have low-cost, innovative methods? They had to basically develop them themselves because of the lack of support coming from Europe, but also from the US. Secondly, the Ukraine is exporting its interceptor drones, such as the Wild Hornet system and acoustic sensor networks. These are significantly cheaper than the $4 million Patriot missiles the US has been using to shoot down $30,000 drones. And thirdly, Ukrainian specialists are training US and Gulf forces on dirt-cheap kinetic solutions, such as truck-mounted machine guns and electronic warfare, jamming techniques that have been perfected on the front lines in the Donbass. So today, basically, America is profiting from Ukraine's tactical training. They were very much left out on a limb during these 4 years, but they have come up with their own methods in very intelligent systems, but cheap systems to counter these Iranian weapons. So why is Ukraine doing this? My initial reaction was, well, I wouldn't do that after the way that we've seen how Donald Trump and his administration has been treating Ukraine and basically rooting for Russia. Luckily, President Zelensky he has much better negotiation skills than I would have and more patience. So he sees three advantages. There's the diplomatic leverage that he has. By becoming a net contributor to security, Ukraine is countering the narrative from some US factions that it is merely a burden to the American taxpayers. Secondly, there is the weakening of a common enemy. Ukraine views Iran as Putin's accomplice. By helping the US dismantle Iranian military capabilities, they are indirectly degrading the supply chain that provides Russia with the drones used to attack Ukrainian cities. And thirdly, there's an issue called the Patriot swap. Now, Zelensky has proposed a swap deal where Ukraine provides drone defense expertise to Gulf states like the UAE and Saudi Arabia in exchange for those countries sending their excess Patriot interceptors to Kiev, which of course will be a major advantage for Kiev, who is still facing a terrible bombardment from Russia every day and killing civilians in a huge massacre. Now, there are obviously also downsides for Ukraine, not just my emotional, why should they do this, but also the risk for Ukraine is resource diversion. Even a small number of experts and systems sent to the Middle East could be missed on the Ukrainian front because the Ukrainians are really using every soldier to its maximum extent. So if you send these experts, even if it's only for a short period of time, Ukraine may suffer through this. And President Zelensky is taking a bit of blowback from his people at home. So what is my personal opinion as a European on the Iran war, which has been started by Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu? Well, within 1 week, I personally have been impacted by this war. As someone who drives and travels a lot, my wallet is being impacted significantly. Also, my stock portfolio, not particularly big, but it is, it's my little nest egg on the side. The value of that has sunk significantly. Now, I did not vote for Trump and cannot even vote him out of office. So my feelings of helplessness and outrage are being shared by many people here in Europe. As far as Ukraine is concerned, my initial reaction was that Kiev should tell Donald J. Trump to take a running jump, as we say here in Great Britain. Now I do, though, feel a certain sense of satisfaction and pride in Ukraine, that they can be recognized as a significant contributor to fighting against Iran. I just hope that Donald Trump remembers to say thank you. So that's all I have for today. If you found it interesting what I had to say about the European opinion on the Iran war, please feel free to click and subscribe, and also leave comments or suggestions that you may have. I would be so happy to hear from you. Thank you very much, and bye.